here we go again, and those of you who are regular with me on Interesting Ideas, and I'm Stan the spokesman, and I'm always fascinated by interesting ideas and would like to talk about them and find out whether they are good ideas, and if they are, what we should do about it, and if they're bad ideas, what we should do about that too. Interesting ideas. And part of, I believe, the value of this is we have the sounder, which reminds you, because what I do with that, and I've got about 15 of them, different sounders I've collected from around the history of radio, and I'm developing new ones, it is PPA. PPA, which is please pay attention. That's why we have sounders. And of course, you can have sirens. Obviously, we pay attention to that. We promise you we're not ever going to do sirens. We've made that point. But we'd like to have perhaps a sounder, and then perhaps something that will get your attention immediately and that you will decide that perhaps it's worth paying attention to. Well, we can be right at the moment because I read from David Leonhardt. I enjoy some of his work. He's a New York Times reporter. I'm not very much of a fan of the New York Times, but this guy's pretty good most of the time. Sometimes he's not, but most of the time. And here's what he said yesterday on Thursday. He said, "Good morning. Tonight, America begins an annual festival celebrating hubris." Now, what in the world does he mean by that? Hubris. That's excessive pride. What did we do on Thursday night that demonstrated that Americans are full of excessive pride? Well, that's what the program is going to be about, and it's an interesting idea. And it begins right now. Again, those of you who pay attention to me, I don't deserve it that much, but I'm glad when you do. And you may know that I oftentimes say that in my performance coaching, I'm trying to encourage people that Friday should be future day. You think about the future. You kind of plan for next week and perhaps give time to thinking strategically and not just dealing with the messes of the past week. Hopefully you dealt with them on Thursday, so you've got a time to perhaps be a little more thoughtful and relaxed and strategic in your life and business on Friday. Well, here it is on Friday, and last night, Thursday, they did an exercise in hubris, and here's what David said. "Tonight at the Caesars Forum Conference Center near Las Vegas," happened last night, "thousands of people will gather for an annual demonstration of human overconfidence. The official name of the gathering is the NFL Draft. There, with millions of Americans watching on television, executives of the NFL's 32 teams will choose which college players to add to their rosters. And the executives will almost certainly make a lot of decisions that they later regret." Now he said, and this is true, "I recognize that many readers of this newsletter are not football fans. Still, I think the draft is worth a few minutes of your attention because it turns out to be a delightful case study of human hubris. Hubris, one with lessons for other subjects like the economy and COVID-19. Fundamentally, NFL teams will be doing something that every employer does, choosing which workers to hire. Now, a major difference is that the team will have far more information than most employers do. You know, a hospital or a manufacturer generally can't study videotape and statistics documenting the record of all job candidates. Yet even with all this information, teams can do a miserable job of predicting who the best players will be. Richard Thaler, supposedly a Nobel laureate in economics, says their track record is pretty dismal. And then what he does, he goes and shows different players. One was a first-round draft choice, a third-round draft choice, a seventh-round draft choice, a 10th-round draft choice, and a 32-round draft choice. And, of course, guess what? The one who did the best, it seems, was the guy who was 32. And we all know stories about that. Tom Brady, the most successful player in NFL history, was the 199th pick in the year 2000. And most top quarterbacks today, you name them, were drafted after quarterbacks who haven't done as well. Predicting performance is unavoidably hard, even in the country's most popular form of mass entertainment, where executives can devote lavish resources to research. There's no crime in that, said Cade Massey from University of Pennsylvania economist. Here is the crime. The crime is thinking you can predict it. Well, here's the lesson on this Friday. He goes on to point out, and this is true, and you know it's true, but we forget that it's true. You can't predict the future. And yet, all of our thinking, many of the decisions were being made about COVID on the belief that these smart experts knew best and could predict the future. Obviously, in terms of the economy, there are people who say, we know best, we can predict the future. If you do this, this will happen. If you do that, that will happen. On and on we go. So, I never thought of putting it quite in that context before. And so, the gentleman, this writer, as I said, I've read him from time to time. His name is Richard. I give everybody full attribution. I don't steal. David Leonhardt. And you can look him up and you can read the entire article. See, and I'm actually doing the right thing. I'm telling you that you can do it, and then he'll get the click, he'll get the download. He will do better in his little game of trying to, as we all are, trying to get more viewers, readers, people in our audience. So, do that, and then let's just think about this. What do we need to do to be better at predicting the future? Now, the first thing we need to do is to realize we can't. Start there. We can't predict the future. We can certainly have some patterns of evidence, P-O-E. And a lot of people say, prove it. Most things can never be proved. But there are patterns of evidence. The person who says, prove it, cannot be convinced of anything. Prove it. Well, we talk about proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Even when we talk about absolute proof, it's probably not there. We only have patterns of evidence. I've oftentimes responded to people who I really believe are wrong and that I know in my own heart and mind are wrong. I never argue with them. I've learned one of the strongest statements from a friend in the radio business who, when someone said, or in his radio work, someone said something that he felt was just totally off the wall, totally wrong, all he would say is, now get this, that's not true. And they said nothing more. He just said, that's not true. Now you think about that. While we take a little bit of break, because we're going to be short today because it's Friday. you've got better things to do. And hopefully this will just help you have a little more thoughtful day and maybe a better weekend. I'm Stan Euster. The program is Interesting Ideas. We would be grateful if you would check us out, if you would perhaps recommend us, if you would pass on this to other people. And we'd be grateful if you would be a person who suggests, recommends, and even participates in Interesting Ideas. We'll be back, and then we'll close it up. So, yes, indeed, if we had a little more humility in the world, a little less self-confidence about some things, a little less self-assurance about some things, that we can certainly go back and see what happened in the past, and we can certainly have some thoughts and some ideas about what will happen, but we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. And one of the strongest and best statements you can make in life is to simply say, when something is amiss, when there's an argument, as I said to one of my brothers the other day, when he was trying to challenge me on something else, and it was all good-natured. We had a wonderful time. It was good for brothers at our age to get together. I just simply said, I don't know. I don't know. And he says, okay. He didn't know quite what to do with I don't know. But that's a good lesson, just for us to say, when we are certain something is wrong, not to argue it or prove the point or defend yourself. You just simply say, that's not true. I'm sorry, but that's not true. And simply have the humility to say, I don't know. We don't know that. And then have the ability to do what unfortunately all of those guys did with millions and millions of dollars in the NFL draft, thought they could in some way predict the future. I'd love to help you in your life and business, not only in my work as a business performance coach. I can help you put together a radio and communications and media program that will help you with your beliefs, your causes, the things that are important to you. Everybody has to be on the radio. The microphone is always on, and you're going to have to know what to do and how to do it. And I was delighted. I'll talk more about this sometimes. Heard that famous Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, who simply said, I have a right to remain silent, but I don't have the ability. I have the right to remain silent, but I don't have the ability. That's part of my problem, too. That's why I'm on the radio. Hey, always close with a benediction. So as you make your way through the evening and into the weekend, all the best and blessings for you. And whatever happens, I can simply say this. Remember, God is in control, and it will be okay. It will be okay. Bye for now.